in adult love. That sounds weird. um I'm an adult. Laughing at my own stupid joke. It's my birthday. This is the video that I've been talking about that I've been really excited to do, and it's my 5 anime or manga that define me. I actually thought that this would be a really good opportunity for me to introduce myself to anybody who's interested, and also to get to know you guys a little bit. If you're up for it, I would like to ask you to put in the comments what you think my 5 are, and share with me what your 5 anime or manga that define you would be, because I'm actually really interested to see what you guys think define you, and what anime and manga have made such an impact for you that you would put it on that list. Thank you ahead of time. And if you stick around to the end, I have a dishonorable mention, which is the anime that made me quit watching anime for a long time. But without further ado, let's get started. The 5 anime or manga that define me. At number 5, Naruto. I know, you don't have to tell me. This is everybody's like either first anime, their introduction to anime. I know, okay? I had a 3-hour-long discussion with my roommate about whether or not Naruto belonged on my list. 3 hours. But ultimately, I decided that Naruto belongs on this list because when I moved to New York from the Philippines, I was about 10 years old, and Naruto kind of served as my bridge from my culture and my hobbies that I had in the Philippines and the people that I made friends with in America, because I essentially was starting completely over. You know, I had to make new friends. I went to a new school. I lived in a new city. I'm speaking a different language. Naruto really served as this bridge for me when I moved countries, and it genuinely brought me a really good friend group. And I have to, at the very least, be thankful to Naruto for that. Embarrassingly, my first anime crush was Sasuke. And that's also part of the reason why Naruto is on this list. Anyway, moving on. Number 4 is Wotakoi. So for those of you who don't know Wotakoi, this is a josei romantic comedy set in an office about 4 office workers who are all closet somewhat otaku. It is a really great story, and if you haven't read it, I thoroughly recommend it to you. As somebody who is a little bit, and more so now, older in the anime and manga community, I particularly felt kindred to these characters. It's a very endearing story about accepting the things that you love, no matter how society may perceive it. The realistic approach of love that Wotakoi depicts does not give me the same existential dread of loneliness that shoujo manga brings me. And look, I am very happy with my life, but there are times when I read shoujo manga and I'm like, am I not happy with my life? But Wotakoi has this realness, which I really appreciate as a josei manga, that it depicts the actual realities of life and the way that these things go when you're an adult and the compromises that you have to make. While it shines the light on the not so fun things about being an adult, it also highlights all of the incredible things that you get to do when you're an adult, and it's such a good balance. I'm just gonna end it this way. Reading Wotakoi feels like a hug. It taught me so much about the compromises that is made in adult love. That sounds weird. I'm an adult. Laughing at my own stupid joke. Anyway. Reset. Reading Watakoi. Reading Watakoi feels like a hug, and it taught me so much about the compromises that need to be made in adult relationships when you have so many things going on and things that need your attention left and right. It really brought to my attention and to the forefront of my mind, things don't exist in this vacuum of grand gestures, and sometimes loving somebody just means doing that small thing for them. Number 3, Haikyuu. Haikyuu has had such a large impact on my current content creation life. Oh boy, there's so much I want to talk about. First of all, Haikyuu is a masterpiece. Haikyuu also basically started my TikTok career. Haikyuu really hammered home the point for me that hard work and practice dedication is how you devote yourself to things that you're passionate about. It also taught me how to think fondly of the things that I love that I present to other people, that I first have to love the things that I make before I go and put it out into the world. I've been making content for over a decade now, and I guess if you've made it this far in the video, you're actually interested in me, so I will tell the story. I knew that I wanted to be a YouTuber when I first watched my Charlie is so cool like and Vlog Brothers video. I saw them making this content and I was like, this is incredible. I love this. I want to do this. But I got frustrated when I didn't blow up into an immediate success. And I later realized that I wanted people's attention when I wasn't giving anything back to them that made it worthwhile for their time. And then as I made content more and more often, I realized that I needed to be grateful for the time that people give to me in consuming my content, that it wasn't just about me. I was a bit of a little self-centered shit, so I mean, who wasn't when they were a fucking teenager, you know? And in 2014, I started streaming, and 4 years later, in 2018, I got partnered on Twitch, and I was a full-time Twitch streamer. And in my brain, I was living the dream. This was it, you know? This was the culmination of everything. I think that was the first time I ever cried from happiness, and I cried for, I think, about 40 minutes because I couldn't believe it. But not even a year later, I realized that I fucking hated streaming. I'm a creative. To a certain degree, I need to do creative things to fuel me and to bring me life and energy. And I realized that being live 8 hours a day, playing video games, was not what I wanted. So I left what I thought my dream job was. I got a different job. I put away content creation as something that I guess I just wasn't cut out for, and, you know, put it on the shelf of memories that was nice to have and glad I got to experience, but I guess this is it. I guess this is the end, is what I told myself. Clearly, as you all well know, that's not the end of the story. 2020 comes. We're all stuck inside. More and more time passes, and I get back into more creative hobbies. I have more time to do the things that I find creatively motivating, and I start and I keep going. And in 2021, I got the idea for my first TikTok, and it just kept coming, and more ideas and more TikToks and more videos. And then people asking me to do longer form content, people liking the things that I made. And I found myself in the same position again, where I was making content. And I said to myself, I guess this is where I should be. Haikyuu taught me that the practice of our lives should be dedicated to the things that we want to achieve. There is a mindfulness in the way that we can do things, the same way that Kageyama filed his fingernails, the way that he journaled after every match, every day, the way that he picked his meals carefully to treat his body well so that it would perform at its best, the way that his life revolved around volleyball. That mindfulness is something that Haikyuu, yes, the volleyball anime and manga Haikyuu, brought me. That sort of discipline and dedication and passion, so much so that it is not passion that is wild and untamed, but it is disciplined passion in which you make everything in your life about this thing, even the small things, and even doing the things that aren't as glamorous, that aren't as fun. That is what Haikyuu taught me. It reminded me that I needed to dedicate time and effort into other aspects of my life that may not seem connected, but truly is something that contributes to my ability to create. Something that I had lost when I was streaming, when I was putting myself through the ringer, trying to make content, trying to make more money. And I neglected my health, I neglected my relationships, and Haikyuu taught me that all of those things, our holistic experience, is what makes us good at the things that we are passionate about. And integrating those things into our passion is the way to succeed. And I think that as a grown adult, learning that was so incredibly freeing and so incredibly necessary, because a lot of things that are good for you are painted to be boring. Nobody is glamorizing Kageyama filing his nails down so that he can be a better setter, but it's necessary. Those highs are so worth it. So yeah, that's what Haikyuu taught me. What a wonderful series, honestly. Who would have thought? Number 2, Jujutsu Kaisen. I bet you guys thought that this would be first. Close, but not quite. Jujutsu Kaisen kind of took me by storm. I watched Jujutsu Kaisen, finished it, and then immediately read everything that was available of the manga in 2 nights. I did not sleep all that much. There are so many things I love about JJK. One of them being that JJK definitely feels like a product of somebody who read the same things that I did growing up, and that there is praise and homages paid to those series in the things that I'm reading, while JJK is still uniquely its own. And that absolutely just blows my mind about how good of a story and experience JJK is. While Haikyuu taught me how to be passionate again, JJK reminded me what it felt like to be passionate about something. I felt so passionate about analyzing this anime, and yes, I guess that sounds a little bit dorky, but reading JJK made me feel like I was putting together pieces to a puzzle and being dragged through a story, screaming and crying, all the while enjoying it so much. Each and every time I reread Jujutsu Kaisen, I find something new. And that sense of discovery boils a passion inside of me that I want to share with other people. I want to talk to other people about JJK. I want to tell them about all of the things that I find. I want to have a conversation with everybody about how amazing Jujutsu Kaisen is and how deep the story is. I love being passionate about Jujutsu Kaisen. There was a point where I no longer wanted to watch anime. I'm gonna get real here for a second, because there was a point as I started to grow a little bit older, and I mean like 16, 17, where I started to not want to watch anime anymore, because as I kept watching more and more and more anime, there were very few women that I could look up to and I felt represented by. That sucked. And look, I don't think fan service is a bad thing, but if somebody is solely just there for fan service and that's one of the few females in the show, I'm gonna feel bummed about it. So I grew more and more disdainful toward anime, and at a certain point around the end of my high school years and my college years, I just stopped watching anime. The way Akutami Gege writes women, the way that he represents them as somebody who is still flawed and human, all the while being incredible, I love that. I felt seen by a community that I hadn't felt seen by in literal years. And I really hope that this is the trend that we're going toward, because Jujutsu Kaisen taught me how to feel passionate about anime again. Jujutsu Kaisen taught me how to feel passionate and how to push myself, because the way that Gege writes makes me want to write better, makes me want to be a better creator so that I can effectively communicate all of these thoughts swirling in my head about Jujutsu Kaisen. I owe a lot to Jujutsu Kaisen as the person that I am now creating this content, because I don't think that I would have been able to be as passionate if Jujutsu Kaisen hadn't come into my life. So Jujutsu Kaisen clearly set the bar very high. So you must be wondering what number one is. Well, number one, Hunter x Hunter. I wonder how many of you even guessed Hunter x Hunter would be on my list, because I don't talk about Hunter x Hunter that much, or how much I actually love it. Hunter x Hunter was my childhood. I watched the original 1999 version. Hunter x Hunter for me as a child is what Jujutsu Kaisen is for me now as an adult. As nostalgia always wins over, Hunter x Hunter takes number one and Jujutsu Kaisen takes number two. While Naruto may have been the bridge that allowed me to transition my life from the Philippines into the US, Hunter x Hunter was my pillar. And I know that's a little bit dramatic for a fucking shonen anime that I watched when I was a child. Whenever I felt down or I couldn't keep going, the same way that Wotakoi now energizes me, Hunter x Hunter gave me the sense of wonder that Gon had, the tenacity of Jing, the kindness of Killua, the steadfastness of Leorio, and the drive of Kurapika. And watching that as a younger child and seeing all of these values placed in front of me, I learned so much from Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter in a way raised me in the way that Jing, the shitty father that he is, hoped that Gon's experiences and the hurdles that he put in front of him would raise him and help him become a better hunter and a better human, I guess. Not that Jing would know anything about that. This sounds kind of cheesy, but I learned a lot about friendship and the connections that we choose to have. I learned a lot about perseverance and drive and hard work. And I know this is a really tall order for an anime. I was also like a child, you know? There was a lot of things that I didn't know yet. At that point in my life, that's what I needed to learn. Hunter x Hunter, weirdly enough, taught me about the dangers of becoming too obsessed with one thing, Kurapika. And Hunter x Hunter taught me that we're stronger together, that the bonds we make and the relationships that we choose to have matter, and they help drive us forward in this world. And I'll just end with this thought. Hunter x Hunter taught me the true value of the connections that I make and how those connections can help me along the way. And as some angsty teenager who had the me versus the world mentality, this is what I needed at that time in my life, that I needed the people that surrounded me to be the ones that uplift me and to know that I could uplift them too. And the more and more I think about it, honestly, I think that my general disposition around people, I learned some of it from Hunter x Hunter. And it's really funny to say that now, because to say that Hunter x Hunter kind of raised me, that's weird. Even when I quit anime, I never went a year without watching at least Heaven's Arena and York New. I watched Hunter x Hunter every year, even if just those two arcs. It really does hold a special place in my heart. That is my 5 anime and manga that define me as a person. I hope you enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see your comments below. And like I said before, I am grateful for you spending your time with me here on my birthday on a video that I know isn't a deep dive in Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's just a video that I wanted to do for fun for myself. Know that you have my gratitude. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Also, no, I didn't forget to add in my dishonorable mention. I just thought it'd be funny to do a bit and end the video and roll my outro. I don't know why. Don't want to make me explain. My dishonorable mention is Sword Art Online. I was looking forward to Sword Art Online so much. I love the idea and the concept of an MMORPG and and people being sucked into that. As somebody who played a ton of RuneScape when I was a child, I love that. And then they just dropped the ball. Honestly, Reed Island Arc from Hunter x Hunter is a better Sword Art Online than Sword Art Online is. Sorry if you love Sword Art Online. All right, I'm actually going now. Goodbye.